Hey, does it help if I mute this so you don't have an echo? Do that.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move into the consensus agenda.
Okay, I move we approve the vouchers and payroll for the last month. Vouchers are $496,036.14. Payrolls total $397,923.06. Gives us a grand total of $893,959.20. Plus we have minutes from our last meeting. I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved by Steve, seconded by Kevin. We do have a board member that is attending virtually tonight, so hi, Wes. I can see Wes. Oh, okay. All right, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0. On to patrons' comments. Any patrons' comments this evening? No? All right, we will move on to personnel.
Okay, I recommend the approval of Steve Linville as the elementary custodian.
So moved.
Second.
The move by Kevin, seconded by Ken. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
I recommend the approval of Melanie Overmeyer as the full-time high school custodian. Here in a second, we will actually recommend a couple resignations, so she will simply be moving up from a part-time, partial time to the full-time. So I would recommend that we approve that.
I move we approve that position.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Ken, seconded by Steve. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
I recommend the approval of summer school instructional assistants, Tabitha Lysick, Beth Linville, Holly Sellers, Nancy Nordman, Jonna Snyder, and Lisa Kreft.
I move we approve those. Second.
The move by Steve, seconded by Kevin. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
I also recommend the approval of the summer school teachers, Sarah Melling, Jill Finley, Diana Murphy, Kurt Kreft, Amy Blue, and Susan Schaefer.
So moved.
Second.
The move by Kevin, seconded by Ken. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
I'm going to do the next two together. I recommend the approval of Cindy Yoder, her retirement, and Tammy Grubbs for her retirement. They both have put a lot of years in Triton School Corporation cafeteria areas, so Margot and Jamie will be looking for replacements for these two ladies, but I just want to thank them, as I've been able to do personally, but I just want to thank them publicly for their years of service at Triton School Corporation.
I move we approve these resignations.
I'll second that.
Moved by Ken, seconded by Steve. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
I recommend the approval of Amanda Shively's resignation from the elementary cafeteria.
I move we approve that. Second.
The move by Steve, seconded by Kevin. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
The next four, I will go ahead and, five, I'll go ahead and lump together if you're okay with that.
Yep.
So I recommend the approval of assistant tennis girls coach Holly Sellers, and that is actually just simply because of numbers. This year we have several girls more than we've had come out for tennis in the past, so that was recommended from Mr. McIntyre. Jeremy Hepler as varsity tennis volunteer, Bo Hepler as varsity golf volunteer, and then Joe White, boys junior high track, and last but not least, Reese Gallup, baseball volunteer assistant.
I move we approve these hires.
I'll second.
The move by Ken, seconded by Steve. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Last but not least, very, very exciting news. We were able to share this with staff on Wednesday of last week after doing interviews until about 7:45. Consensus was come to on Wednesday night, and then Thursday morning we were actually able to meet with the students that were part of the interview committee for the assistant principal, the new assistant principal athletic director, and is with great honor, and I'm excited that I recommend the approval of Rick Yarborough as the assistant principal, the next assistant principal athletic director of Triton Junior Senior High School.
I move we accept that and approve that hire.
Second.
Been moved by Steve, seconded by Ken. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you to the committee that took care of that and got that around, so thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for
Nate and whoever else was on that committee.
Yeah, so it was a good process. Mr. McCann, I think you can share, obviously, in your time as well, but Mr. McCann recommended that we have some students on the committee, and they were able to, a half hour before our formal interview, they were able to take the individuals on a tour of the building. For those that were on spring break and were actually doing a Google Meet from Florida, they were able to ask them questions and try to connect with them. It was amazing. The next day, Thursday morning, Mr. McCann and I met with those students. They're juniors right now, so they're going to be senior squad members next year. It was amazing. They wrote for each candidate kind of how they connected, what they saw as strengths, what they saw as things that they were concerned about, and they came to the same exact consensus as our adult committee, right? It was just so good to hear their feedback on that. Do you have anything to add to that, Mr. McCann?
I just really appreciate their time, and I hope they enjoyed it. I think they did. Hopefully it was a good experience. But I think anytime you can include the kids in that, I think we all win. So
Absolutely. And I think that's something that we were really hoping for in the future of just let's make the senior squad a little bit more of an active body in our school, just to get feedback and hear what they're hearing and see what they're saying so we can continue to improve. And what better way to hear that and make changes than to have your clients, which they are our clients. They're the reason we're here. Give us recommendations and thoughts. Now, obviously, we have to put that through a filter sometime as the adults in their life, but it is good to hear from them. Just to spend a little bit of time on Rick, just an outstanding individual. We have shared the information with Orion Lemler, who will be posting shortly after this board meeting, just about a bio, his biography, where he's been, what qualifies him to be an outstanding candidate for this position. And we're excited to add him to our team just in the short time. Multiple conversations that either Mr. McCann or I have had. We feel like he's going to fit into our team very, very well. Has the same passion, vision. I feel like we're like-minded in many, many different ways, and I think it's going to be a really great thing. So I've said over the last 2 months, I'm going to miss Mr. McIntyre, and I think Mr. McIntyre had the opportunity to meet Rick as well, and I think he was behind that decision as well to see that that's going to be the next good step for Triton School Corporation.
Okay. Thank you. We will move on to other business.
All right, as we just made the recommendation above, I recommend the approval of the summer school contracts for the teachers that we just approved.
I move we approve those contracts. Second.
Been moved by Steve, seconded by Kevin. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
On a rotating basis, we as a school board, or you as a school board, we recommend the approval of a library board member to represent us on that Bourbon library board. So at this time, I recommend the approval of Jordan Fuller as the Bourbon library board member, and that will take, his seat will be from 2021 to 2025.
I move we accept, go ahead with that.
I'll second that.
Been moved by Ken, seconded by Steve. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
I recommend the approval of the Northern Indiana Education Service Center Dietitian Consortium Service Contract.
Wow.
This is a position that has been around for quite some time now. Kaylin really helps us with different things we can put in our school meals as far as the values of that, as far as the health values, and it really helps Margot and all of the other service center districts. So this isn't a little bit of an increase in salary of approximately $500, but we do approve that each year as our portion of that.
I move we approve that contract as presented.
I'll second.
Been moved by Steve, seconded by Ken. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Next, I recommend the approval or the permission to apply for grants. This allows us to apply for the typical federal grants that are plentiful, but also allows us, when we see monies available that are going to be in the best interest of our school corporation, it allows us to go for some of those grants. So this just gives Mr. McFarland and I permission, and or anybody else within the district that runs that through us, permission to apply for those grants.
So moved. Second.
Been moved by Kevin, seconded by Steve. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
As you're aware, Bourbon received, as part of Marshall County, we received a portion of the Stellar grant money for a new lift station in Bourbon. It just so happens that the current lift station is on Triton property, out by the soccer fields. The new lift station, just because of ease and efficiency, the other lift station is going to go right next to that, which, if you can picture that area, it's right butted up right to a fence. It's next to the soccer shed, but it's really, there's a lot of really non-usable space in between the current lift station and the parking lot that is currently out there. So I would recommend for this fact that we I recommend the approval of the easement for the lift station that would be put in for the town of Bourbon.
I move we do that.
Second.
Been moved by Steve, seconded by Ken. Any other discussion?
I assume that's a lifetime easement,
Easements are
et
like that.
cetera.
Are they going to do anything with the old one, abandon it or take it out, or?
It actually will stay. My understanding is it will actually stay, and I don't know if there's a transition time when that eventually goes out of service, but my understanding is both of those will be in service. It just ups our capacity and ups the ability to pump that stuff out.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor? Did you have a question?
No.
Oh, I thought I heard something. Sorry. Motion passes 5-0.
You did. I thought maybe you were just headed on.
No, I thought you said something, Steve. I'm sorry.
Mrs. Barnhart, I will check on that with Mr. Byers. I believe we did ask that question, and I believe that is the correct answer. But just to be safe, I will come back to the board with that information. Next, I would recommend the concrete work quote. I will note that it is a little bit higher than what we had originally budgeted. But I will also let you know that with the water main break that we had up by entrance 5, and then some of the other curb areas that Bruce would like to replace, in addition to those, we actually went ahead and got a quote for steps that actually will come down from door 9 in the activity center, where wrestlers would come out and or anybody that comes out of that activity center, along with, we kind of found the tracks last winter where kids walk and all of that stuff. So we'll be putting steps down from door 9, and then as you go across that road, there's another little section that we will actually put a little section of sidewalk in there as wrestlers go out to their cars that are right outside of door 9. So once again, sometimes they say the best way to know where to put a sidewalk is let kids walk on the area for a little while. We're finding out that just the sidewalk that goes along the activity center all the way back to door 9 doesn't necessarily allow them to get the cars in that type of a safe manner. So that was something that we've been looking at, and just, is there a need? The other one that I think is going to be beneficial is the sidewalk that I think we've all been talking about as we have conversations of when is it the right time to start getting our football bleachers up to code, is making that walk path a little bit better from the concession stand to the stands over by the old concession stand and then all the way up to the stands. So there will be an 8-foot section coming from where our ticket booth is all the way around where the track is, all the way to the bleachers for handicap accessibility. As we prepare eventually to replace our bleachers to kind of come up to code with some of those things. But then also just, we all know if we've been to a football game on a cold Friday night, it's wet, it's gross, and it's just gonna make a safer route for our patrons to go from paying to their seat.
I move we approve that.
I'll second.
The move by Steve, seconded by Ken. Any other discussion? Are they,
I really like the idea of getting concrete out to the.
The reason I mentioned that also in the budget and expanding that a little bit, that money will be actually borrowed. When I say borrowed, it will be taken from some of the other projects that we've done, some of the other bonds that still has a little bit of money remaining. So that's going to be no tax on the budget. It's just more than maybe we originally budgeted.
that's my question. Thank you. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
As you probably noticed, our Triton School Corporation sign out front has not been working for the last couple months. When it went out, we had a lot of snow on the ground, a lot of ice and so on. It is my understanding that when Bruce went and tested the electricity, that the electricity in somewhere from the building out to that sign has been cut. It's just simply not live. So we had to wait, obviously, for a little while for the ground to thaw and all that stuff. But Bruce has got around to getting those quotes. He also wants to add some receptacles out by the entrance 1 overhang. I think everybody knows that a couple years ago we had the Bourbon Summerfest, and that became an issue with receptacles and just things that we want to put out there. I think the town one time rented that little area to do like a little movie night and so on, and we had to run everything through doors. And that's probably not best for cords and all that stuff. So while we're at it, we're going to put receptacles on the outside so we don't have to leave the building exposed.
I move we approve that.
I'll second.
The move by Steve, seconded by Ken. Any other discussion?
Are those receps going to have locks on them and stuff so that just not anybody can get to them?
I will ask Bruce that, but my assumption is that would be yes. So, but I will get with Mr. Gephardt on that.
Okay. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. All right.
Last one. Recommend the first reading, or recommend the approval of the first reading of the corporation policy and administrative guidelines. That seems very, very broad. It's because it is. There's a lot of topics underneath there, and those could be eligibility of enrollment, staff evaluation, the amount of credits needed for a work permit, animals on campus such as service dogs, those type of things. So within those administrative guidelines, there's many, many different topics. Mr. McCann and I met on some of those. Mrs. Baker and I met on some of those, just depending on who those dealt with transportation or, like I said, work certificates. So I would recommend the approval of those.
So moved. Second.
The move by Kevin, seconded by Steve. Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. On to superintendent's report.
All right, so continuous improvement today. Miss Amy Watt shared with the current and past biomedical science students who learn more about what it looks like to work in the ER as a nurse. This idea actually was presented by Mr. Boyer in our quarterly meeting with the Lutheran Health Network. So I just want to thank him. I want to thank Leslie Rohrball, for the time and effort she put into coordinating that with Mr. Andy Bass. And that went off today without a hitch. It was a great experience for our kids. Triton officials, Tom McFarland, Bruce Gephardt, Nate McCann, and I took tours of a couple local schools as we continue to do our homework on how best to create secure entrances at Triton Elementary School and Triton Junior Senior High School. This research is in preparation for the 2023 tax neutral bond that will allow us to look at needed facility upgrades at both buildings. This includes, but is not limited to, secure entrances, code recommendations, auditorium and classroom upgrades. So we continue to look how can we best utilize those tax neutral dollars as we have taxes coming down. How can we neutralize that to make sure that we're upgrading our facilities to just make it safer for our kids. We've talked about secure entrances now for quite some time. I think ever since I started in this position of just that being probably the next project that we do. So we just want to make sure that we're getting a really good idea of what that looks like, how we can do that, because that is going to take some maneuvering of staff and classrooms and what that might look like. So we're just in the research stages. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but we have spoken to bond counsel. We have also spoken to Barton Cove Villama when it comes to just getting some ideas of maybe some past projects that they've done to help guide us, be best use of our money and to get what we need to make sure that our safety continues to increase. Shared leadership, Triton Transportation Director Laura Baker, Joe Scott, Terry Scott, and our drivers pulled together to get the buses washed and ready for inspection. Indiana State Police Officer Travis Harold gave a great report and expressed how well maintained the Triton buses are. So I want to thank our transportation department for being the first and the last to greet our scholars and getting them safely to and from school each day. Triton FFA currently has their annual auction going on. It can be found on the Triton Facebook page, and I just posted some more information on that tonight. Or if you want to, you can go to www.tritonffa.club/auction, and the auction can be seen there. It's called High Bid. High Bid is the name of the auction site. You'll see all sorts of items, plant material, tractors. I think there's an SUV, a couple SUVs in there, a couple mowers. So there's a lot of good items. So please consider going on and bidding on these items. This auction ends on April 14th. We'll continue to keep things posted on our social media sites, but you can find that on our Triton Facebook page or by going to www.tritonffa.club/auction. Social responsibility. I would like to thank our Bourbon Police Department and local fire departments for their efforts last Wednesday as they responded to a fire on Liberty, blocking the street, which gave us time to communicate with our patrons and students en route to school. So I appreciate that phone call early in the morning to let us know what was going on and we could get that message out to our staff and students. We welcome Nathan Harmon today to speak with Triton Junior Senior High School scholars along with our sixth graders. He was able to be part of 3 breakout sessions and continue to encourage our students to live out their why. Think small and aim small, and then remind them that they are the only ones that control their actions, attitudes, and behaviors. He used different words on that, but when it was all said and done, he had his key 5, and really what it come down to is just a lot of what we talk about with our Trojan pride, the Trojan way of showing those character qualities and thinking of others over self. Accountability, we have Triton scholars that are taking iLearn this week. This assessment is given to 3rd through 10th graders. 3 through 8th graders take English language arts and math. Science is given at 4 and 6, social studies at 5, and then biology and U.S. government is given. High expectations, I want to congratulate our medal and plaque award winners for ISMA. They arrived last week, and Mr. McCann was able to be part of unveiling those to our junior high band and choir. Both groups did a great job bringing home gold ratings. Spring sports have begun, and I thank our coaches for maintaining high expectations and continuing to invest in our scholar athletes, both in the classroom and in their particular sports. And last but not least, I just want to remind our board, but also our student body and our patrons that all Triton students and most faculty members will participate in the Triton Gives Back Day on Thursday of next week. This is the 2nd annual event that puts students in a place to succeed and give back to those who constantly give to others. We will be visiting parks, nursing homes, food pantries, washing staff members' cars, cleaning up around the community and school, making treats for the Humane Society, candy bags for healthcare workers, making blankets for nursing homes, creating care packages for our troops at Operation Quiet Comforts, and so many more. But just a great opportunity for our kids to, once again, set aside some time to give back to our community and truly do their best to think of others over self. That's all I have. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. We will move on to patrons' comments. Do we have any? None? All righty, we will move on to building reports. Mrs. Cook.
Forget the mic.
All right. First of all, I want to say what a wonderful day to look outside and see the sunshine and see sports teams participating and people here watching. There was last spring that didn't happen. And so I'm grateful for that. It was just really, really nice to see. At the elementary, we still have 4 digital students. All 4 of them will be coming in on site to take iLearn this week at different times. A couple of them are taking with their class, and a couple of them can't be in at the same time to take it with their class, so they'll be in at different times during the day. So I pretty much guarantee you at any time over the next 3 weeks, at any time of day, somebody will be testing over there at the elementary, it seems like. But we will, Mrs. LaSure has done a great job of preparing everybody, going before us, giving the proper training to the people who are involved in the actual test administration, and making sure that we know exactly what needs to be done so that we can have standardized testing going on and all students have the same opportunity to succeed. We only have 1 student right now that's quarantined, and that's due to a parent at home who has tested positive. Our iRead 3 scores came in. We did have, I don't remember if I said this last time or not. Anyway, we had about over 85% of our students who passed the first time around. We have 5 students who are eligible for good cause exemptions. Those conferences and meetings will be taking place over the next 6 weeks to see if that's what we want to do. That's a case conference committee decision. And then the others will be attending summer school and retaking those assessments. So that's coming up. So our final score is yet to be determined. We had preschool enrollment night last week. We have out of the 20, we have 20 spots available. I think we have 16 enrolled right now. So I think that's really awesome. We don't have many spots available, but we do take people on the waiting list, and because sometimes things change and people change their minds. So I was very pleased about that. Tomorrow night we have kindergarten registration, which is from 4 to 7. So it's an open house type situation where you can come and go as you please. Parents and their child, if they want, may enter door 1. We'll have some tables set up along where they move from station to station. They will be able to meet the teachers, and then they can go down and visit the classrooms as well so that they can get super excited. And then the week before school starts, we'll have home visits where they'll know who their teacher is, and the teacher and the parent and the child can meet together either in the parent's home or at school, so that it's kind of a non-threatening situation, give them another opportunity to see what they're getting into before the first day of school. So I'm excited for those kindergartners. We're also going to be participating in some extra things this year that I didn't have a chance to last year. Triton Gives Back, like Mr. Riffle said, on the 22nd, the morning of that day. We're also going to try our push carts. The Matchett Center has been very kind in allowing us to use that, and since the old gym is not usable anymore for that purpose. So we'd love to do it outdoors. I'd love to do push carts outdoors. We just have no other option for rain, and so therefore we don't want to take that risk, because we have had it in the rain before. So but when you're inside, it doesn't really matter, so those can move forward. Gives our 6th graders a chance to actually think about having a business and what it takes to run it, what is profit, what is loss, what is overhead, all those kinds of things. And so it gives them a really good experience with that as well while they read the book, The Pushcart Wars. We have a few other things planned in the spring, all of which will be modified somewhat due to our COVID protocols. One of them would be 6th grade recognition, which is May 26th. That's going to happen during the school day for the most part, and the first thing in the morning in our gym. And I think that's going to be a little bit different. And then we'll have some things that will be, Orion Lemler is helping with some of the pre-record some of the music and some of the other awards things, and we'll have that for a digital format for parents as well. We also have preschool graduation, which on May 27th, which we are going to be doing that live since we have so many fewer kids and parents in attendance. And then we are also going to do a modified all-school field day on June 2nd. We're pretty fortunate that all of the donors from last year said keep the money, even though we didn't have field day, just keep it and use it. So we're using those funds this year to do something modified. Basically, we're going to have homerooms compete against each other within their grade level, but they'll all be part of 3 larger teams, a red team, blue team, gold team, and they'll earn points for those colored teams in the end. We will have grades 3 through 6 competing in the morning and grades K through 2 in the afternoon, and we'll be also using our own staff to run those events. So we won't have all the volunteers that have coming in the past. And we feel like in this way we can do this pretty safely for our students. Summer school invitations go out this week. We will be providing summer school for grades pre-K through grade 4 this year. It will be mostly reading, but also a little bit of math. We're also going to extend our preschool. I think I may have mentioned this before, but our preschool for 3 weeks. Those are our current preschool students. We have, I think, 14 of them who are signed up to have an additional 3 weeks. We're hoping that that makes up a little bit for the days that they were quarantined, because they had two and a half quarantines, I guess you would consider, during the year in the preschool. So this will hopefully make up for some of the learning loss that they had. Finally, we've lightened up a little bit just this week, starting on our recess protocols, and I think that's going to be a good thing for our kids. They're excited to be out, excited about the good weather, but now they get to play with some friends in their grade level who are not in their homeroom. So just on the noon recess, we're allowing them to pick where they want to play and whom they want to play with. So I hope that that's kind of a boost for them to finish out the school year. Any questions? Yes, a good cause exemption is something that the state allows for certain students that prevents them from having to retest if they don't pass. There are 3 good cause exemptions that are allowable. One is if you have an individual education plan. In other words, you're a student with a disability who has an IEP. The other condition would be an individual learning plan, which would be those students who are limited English proficient. And then the third one is if you've been retained twice already prior to 3rd grade, you can have a good cause exemption. And what this does is if you did not pass the first time around, but then you convene as like the case conference committee or a committee of the teachers, administrators, parent, and so forth. The parent is already part of that. The school has the flexibility to just determine and say, you know what, promotion to 4th grade is appropriate because of these supports that are in place, and you do not have to retest. Everybody else has to go through the retest process. Now, it used to be, they said once the retest, if you fail it twice and you're not available for one of those good cause exemptions, you must be retained in 3rd grade. That's not that way anymore. Schools still have the flexibility to look at the whole child, to look at all areas other than reading, and determine whether or not promotion to 4th grade is appropriate. So we still have some of that flexibility, but those students who don't qualify for the good cause exemption would still need to retest and be provided remediation in the summer. Does that make sense? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. And then if they don't pass it, then they still have to retest in 4th grade and in 5th grade. Thank you. I forgot about that. If you don't have the good cause exemption, that's true.
Okay, for the junior, senior high school. So right now we have 14 students that are on virtual learning, and I think that's down from 18 last month, so we've seen a little drop in that, so I'm pretty excited there. Right now we have 3 students that are temporarily virtual. Similar to what Christine was talking about, we don't have any necessarily any contact tracing that's gone on here at the school for those, but just maybe a parent or a family member that's tested positive, so they're being quarantined. iLearn schedule. So right now for math, we're going to start testing on April 19th, and we look for those tests to go through April 27th. And then we have our language arts testing that's going to start on April 28th, and that will go through May 4th. Just a little bit of a scheduling update for our counselors. So as of last Friday, scheduling for our current 6th, 7th, and 8th grade is fully complete. So Sarah went over several days last week to the elementary and met with all of our 6th graders and worked to schedule them. So right now, those students are all ready to go for next year. As for our high school, current juniors are completely scheduled, and then we've got a handful of sophomores, current sophomores and freshmen that still need to be scheduled. And we look for those to be complete by this Friday. So we are moving right along for our scheduling. Tuesday, April 6th of last week, we had NHS induction, so congratulations to those students for all of their hard work. Mr. Riffle talked about our band and choir junior high programs and how they performed at our ISMA contest. So congratulations to those students. Both received their gold distinction or gold awards. And then I guess to take it a little further for our band program, they got with distinction. So they scored high enough to move to that next level, gold with distinction. So congratulations to that group. We had freshman orientation last Thursday, April 8th, so I appreciate those students and parents that attended that event. It's always nice to have people show up to those events, and a lot of times they're just not well attended, so it is nice to see families come to those, and I think overall we had a pretty good turnout, so thanks to them. Okay, we are going to be able to hold prom this year. Of course, we held on for quite a while, not really knowing if that was going to happen, but working with the health department, talking to other superintendents in the area, talking with Mr. Riffle. So we're a go for prom. We're going to have that at the back 40, and that is going to be on Saturday, April 24th. That has been communicated with students. That information continues to go out to them. So we're pretty excited that we're able to offer that. Just another high school musical. So this is the musical we were planning to have last year. That didn't happen, so now we're planning to have it this year. And those dates are going to be on May 1st at 7 p.m. and May 2nd, 3 o'clock p.m. Let's see here. As far as tickets and that information, that's going to be coming out to the public soon, so be looking for that. Spring season sports right now are on their way. So tonight we had baseball, softball, tennis going tonight. We've got several track meets this week, so it's pretty busy around here, which is nice to see. Mr. Riffle talked about Nathan Harmon, so I won't go into that, but again, it was a great opportunity to have him here for the second time this year. He just does such a great job presenting to our students. Our students identify with him and his message, so just to see them kind of light up, be excited, want to be here today, and just hear his message, and then do the small group thing that we did. Pretty powerful. So appreciate Mr. Riffle and the work he's done with all the people involved in that to make that happen for our students. We do have a lot of events that are coming up in May. I won't go over them now. I'll bring those back to the May meeting. But it's going to be nice that we're going to be able to hopefully do some of these things that we were not able to do last year. And our May is going to hopefully look a little bit more normal. So that's what I've got for you, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other patrons' comments before we leave this evening? Nope. All right. If there's no other business, we'll call the meeting adjourned at 7:40.